Right now, we're going to talk specifically about ethics. And when we talked about peer reviews, when we talked about scientific theory, that connects to ethics as well because we don't want to be spreading misinformation. That's part of the reason why we do peer reviews. Why we make sure our scientific theories are supported by large amounts of evidence. Because ethically, most of us realize that we don't want to be spreading false information. So as scientists, we must consider the ethics of every experiment we do. And what ethics is it's just a branch of knowledge that deals with moral principles. So when we're talking about ethics, we're talking about moral principles. Is this right? Is this wrong? And all branches of science must take ethics into consideration. Whether you're a chemist, biologist, whatever you are in science, you got to take ethics into consideration. But environmental science includes a little bit more. And, I would say as environmental scientists, we often come to this issue of ethics a little bit more often than others because this includes economics, right? Environmental science is greatly affected by economics, so money, right? And that can put people in these moral quandaries sometimes. And this includes the study of human populations, so people, right? And when we're talking about things that affect people, we have to consider what moral principles we're going to use and things that affect other organisms. So there's many ethical decisions to be made here in environmental science. And so when we're talking about ethics and how we're going to make ethical decisions, well, we need to look at the different types of worldviews we have in ethics. And there's 3 pretty common worldviews in environmental science. We have anthropocentrism, we have biocentrism, and we have ecocentrism. So let's start with number 1, anthropocentrism. This, if you follow anthropocentrism, this means that you place the most value on human populations and human welfare. Right? You're going to look at what is best for the people, right? People are more important, than other organisms out there. And so if this is going to improve human welfare, then that's the decision that, that individual will make. Biocentrism, on the other hand, places value on each and every organism, including humans. So this one focuses a little bit more on equality between organisms. So someone that follows this biocentrism or biocentric point of view might say, okay, this is how it's going to affect human life, and this is how it's going to affect, animal life or the life of all these organisms in a forest, and one is not more important than the other. They're going to value them the same, human needs as well as needs, of nature. And then finally, we have ecocentrism. This, instead of placing value on individual organisms and giving equality to individual organisms, it instead places value on the ecosystem or community as a whole rather than individuals. So we are not looking at what is good or bad or best or worst for certain individuals. We're looking at, okay, what is going to improve this ecosystem as a whole? So taking a look at this picture, right, it says Earth is more valuable than money. Let's think, what worldview does this individual likely have? And I would say this individual probably follows the ecocentrism worldview, right? Because they are not placing the most value on humans. So they're not going to be anthropocentrism, right? Because they are saying Earth is more valuable than human needs, than money. It's not biocentrism because they're not talking about specific individuals. They're talking about the Earth as a whole. So I would say this person has an ecocentristic point of view here. And so they are looking at what is best for Earth as a whole. So let's summarize everything that we've talked about here. So we talked about how the scientific results can be submitted for peer review. So that's someone with the same level of education and experience as you. And this may provide support for larger scientific theories. So we get our experiments peer reviewed so that we know their results are trustworthy, so that we know, we haven't made mistakes during the process. And then we can use that evidence as strong support for theories. And remember, a theory is not just a guess. A theory is supported by large amounts of evidence. And as scientists, we have to consider the ethical consequences of our experiments. Not only the ethical consequences of their process, right? Let's make sure we're not harming organisms, harming animals while we perform the experiment, but we also have to ethically consider the conclusions. What are we going to do with this information? Whose needs are we going to put first?